Some days split your life in two, before and after. And you do not know it is happening until the world hands you a moment you can never go back from. Today, I'm telling you about mine. The text, the ditch, the road, the first image of a world without my son. This is the story of the night everything split and the year that followed. Welcome to Still Here, a Shattered Hearts Oasis Podcast. The place where grief gets language and where grieving moms are allowed to tell the truth about what survival actually looks like. I'm Leah, founder of Shattered Hearts Oasis, licensed clinical social worker, grief-informed therapist, and most importantly, Tom's mom. Before we begin, a gentle but necessary trigger warning. This episode includes child loss, a motorcycle accident, and the raw truth of early grief. If you need to pause or skip, please do so. The space is meant to hold you, not harm you. 3 weeks ago this week, I lost Thomas. 3 years. And somehow, I'm still here. Before I take you into that night, you need to know who Thomas was. None of this makes sense without knowing him. Thomas was fair, objective, the kind of kid who did not just try to be good, he was good. Integrity came naturally to him. He did not understand racism. He did not understand cruelty. He did not understand why people hated other people. He was a humanitarian at heart, and if he were still here today, I believe that would be his path. He was hilarious. He loved Hispanic music. He could rap God, which, unless you are Eminem, seems impossible. He was easygoing like me, funny, loyal, dependable, respectable. A kid who did not stress about girls because, in his words, Mom, you can never keep them on read. It's impossible. That motorcycle, he wanted one for years. I used to ride when he was little, and he rode on the back of mine. He finally got his own 3 weeks before he died, and he was on top of the world. This is who he was, a good kid, a beautiful soul, my son. And now that you know him, you will understand the rest. It started with a Life 360 text message, not a notification, a text. A text that was 6 minutes old when I seen it. If you use Life 360, you know how unusual it is to receive text. It said something like Thomas's phone indicates he may have been in an accident and gave a location and numbers to call. So I grabbed my keys, headed out alone, and said out loud, I'm sure his phone fell off of his bike. People like me, our glass is always full. If it looks half empty, we will fill it back up. After I left, I called non-emergency 911. I told them what Life 360 had sent. They said, yes, there's been an accident. They're working on him. Those words exactly. I was 20 minutes away. I regret not turning around and going back home first so I wouldn't have been alone. During that drive, I said something that would later take on a whole new meaning. This is the last normal mile of your life. Still here. A familiar companion showed up on that last mile. Anxiety. The kind that comes with arriving somewhere unknown. I watched the GPS. I saw the red traffic line, but I couldn't see the accident yet. It was dark all around me. What if the traffic line was too far back and I couldn't reach him? What if I had to stop and run? I was wearing Thomas's slides. I cannot run in Thomas's slides, or anybody's for that matter. When I reached that red line, I took the ditch, and I parked in the ditch, and I ran. Thomas was gone, taken by EMS before I arrived. I never understood why 911 did not call the mother back to say Thomas had already been taken. No mother should ever drive up on her child's accident scene. This was my first image of a world without my son, and I never should have discovered that alone. There was a large truck at the front of that line. I noticed a man sitting behind the wheel. He had seen everything, the accident, me running, collapsing. He witnessed the worst moment of a mother's life and had to carry that with him. I still think about the man in the truck. I'm pretty sure he thinks about us. It's still here. When I arrived at the hospital, I stood against a wall as a young staff member called to let them know I was there. I locked my eyes on hers. I saw the exact moment she knew. They led me into a consult room. I knew what that room meant. I told the security guard, I know what this room is. Do not let a provider walk in until I am not alone. He honored that. I made 2 phone calls. First, Alicia, a friend, a coworker, and Thomas's boss's mother. Her son had been notified by police. Thomas was wearing a company hoodie, and they were familiar with that group. She thought she was calling to tell me my son had been in a terrible accident. I'm glad she doesn't have to carry what that would have looked like for her. I also called my supervisor, Mark, and said, I may not be into work Saturday. Who does that? A mother in shock, trying to hold together one remaining piece of her world. The ER doctor explained the damage to Thomas's brain. I had worked neuro. I knew those words meant there was no hope. And around 2 a.m. in the IC waiting room, I met with a neurosurgeon. He wanted to do a test in the morning to see if Thomas would respond before pronouncing him deceased. You can't proceed with the organ donation process until there is a legal pronouncement of death. This upset me. We had both seen the scans. We both knew there was 0 chance. He said he was doing it for my well-being. I looked at him and said, you can do the test, but you will not make this about me. This is about you. He had spoken in front of my people and given them false hope. Doctors often struggle to sit with death. I have witnessed that many times over the years of my career, and I know that that's what this moment was as well. The false hope that an expert saying these things gives to families during these tragic moments, in my opinion, is just cruel. Before he left, he said, do you have any questions? Yes. I want you to ask me my name. No one had asked Thomas's mom her name. He did. Then he asked, any more questions? And I said, now ask for my phone number in case someone needs to reach out to Thomas's mom. He did the test. Thomas gagged. It was traumatic. Still here. People ask how I moved so quickly to signing organ donation paperwork. The truth? I asked for LifeLink the moment we reached the ICU. Thomas and I had talked about organ donation. He had the same fear many people have. What if they let me die to get my organs? My last promise to Thomas on his last day was that there was no other choice. I promised him, and that I was so proud. During that time, there was no hope to chase, only acceptance. The honor walk was so beautiful, and it mattered. When the ambulance doors closed, I said to myself, I have to get his face on the Times Square billboard. And I will. Still here. Thomas's accident happened on November 17th. His legal death date is November the 19th. And his last day here was November the 21st. Those were not days. They were one suspended moment in time. And the way that I best describe that is, you know, that panic when you forget to pick up your child from school, from practice, something like that. That rush, that fear, that guilt, that feeling in the pit of your stomach. For me, that feeling started November the 17th, and it never left. Someone recently said, 3 years, it doesn't feel that long, does it? For you, maybe. For me, over 1,000 nights going to bed with a dead child. Over 1,000 mornings waking up with a dead child. And despite that, I'm still here. 2 days before the accident, Thomas had a flat tire. Remember, in the beginning, we were airing up a tire when I got the text. I was teaching Thomas how to use the pump, and I broke it. So he took my car. That night, he said he was just going to drive his motorcycle tomorrow and would get a new air pump later. And he did drive his motorcycle. This is how I learned what ifs are dangerous. My mind could bring that child back to life in one move. Don't break the air pump. But I cannot claim the decision of a 19-year-old on top of the world as my own. That choice belongs to him. Still here. Dwayne has been a friend for around 12 years. Thomas knew him, trusted him, saw him as a mentor, a father figure. 3 weeks before the accident, he moved onto my property in his camper. After the accident, he didn't leave. He moved into the house downstairs. He fed me, protected me, carried me. He knew this loss. His daughter, Alyssa Kay, died at 3 days old. The same name I picked for Hunter if he had been a girl. These coincidences are not coincidences. Because of him, I'm still here. Before I continue, you need to know Teresa. She isn't just a friend, she's family. We met early in our social work careers and became inseparable in the way only people who understand your whole history can be. To Thomas, she was his second mom. He called her his fairy godmom. She and her husband Tim protected him, shaped him, loved him. She is the one who told me Bonnie Raitt had won a Grammy for a song about organ donation. She also told me not to listen yet, I wasn't ready, and she was right. When the time came, that song cracked me open and helped me finish my letters to the organ recipients. Teresa is woven into this story because she is woven into Thomas's life and into mine. Between November and March, I was in a body with a pulse. Dwayne handled everything: house, dogs, food, life. My only job was to stay alive. March of 2023 was the night I cracked. My biggest fear early in my grief was that I would crack and I would harm myself, because honestly, there's no reason you wouldn't when you're thinking about living with a dead child. But I cracked. I am not an aggressive person. I'm not volatile. But grief makes your nervous system do things your personality never would. I was screaming, throwing things, unraveling. In that chaos, I hit the stove knob and something caught on fire. Later, I analyzed myself like a clinician. What happened to my mind, my regulation? Obviously, it was overloaded. It was a rupture, a nervous system collapse. Now, when I feel even that flicker of what it felt like inside, that feeling when I started feeling off, when I feel that, I walk away. My body does not get to burn again. Still here. Hunter came over after the fire, my oldest, steady, grounded, clear. He looked at me and said, "You have two choices. Stay in the past with Thomas and die, or learn how to live forward with a dead Thomas." It wasn't harsh. It was love. It was fear. It was his effort to keep his mom. That sentence split my grief in two. I didn't want to die, but I would have been okay not being alive. He held that truth with me. Because of that moment, I am still here. I worked in hospice for many years, and I taught the grief models. I learned the grief models. I know the grief models, the 5 stages, closure, acceptance. Then Thomas died, and I became a walking contradiction to every theory. Grief after child loss is not a psychological process. It is a full-body trauma response. It changes your nervous system, your memory, your sleep, your digestion, your startle response. You do not move through it. You learn to carry it. You did not fail the model. The model failed you. Still here. I began writing the letters to Thomas's organ recipients obsessively, handwritten again and again. I had to tell them it was okay. How do you tell a stranger they're alive because your child is not? In May of 2023, that letter triggered a notification to a man in Indiana 6 months post-heart transplant vacationing in Florida with his family. They immediately headed home but took a route they never take, I-75 through Georgia. Who lives near I-75? Well, I do, Tom's mom. That night, they stopped at exit 306. Who else was at that exit? I was, Tom's mom. I was parked at a gas station waiting on my grandson Fisher. I had avoided that exit because the accident was nearby, but that night I chose the grown-up route. They also stayed a few exits up near where Thomas's girlfriend lives. Our lives were moving toward each other, and we didn't even know it. When they got home, they opened the letter. I had included details so that I could be found. They found his obituary. They found me. They sent me a message on Facebook, and the notification was a photo of the letter. And that was absolutely one of the best nights of my life, and not a moment that could ever be recreated. We sent a few messages that night, and we FaceTimed the next day. I said to Jason, Thomas's birthday is coming up. I'm off work, and I'm coming to see you. And I did. Still here. On Thomas's 20th birthday, I sat on Jason's porch waiting for the news crew. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want cameras. I didn't want the story. But I knew I had made a promise to get his name out into the world. Then Jason stood, and his grandson Eli crawled behind him. Something shifted inside of me. Pride, real pride. Because of Thomas, that little boy still has his grandfather. Still here because of Thomas. Later, I saw Bonnie Raitt in Macon. What happened publicly with Bonnie Raitt is on my YouTube channel. What happened after that is private because she requested that. But what I can say is this. She watched the video I created reading my letter to Jason over her song, and she sent me a note that was absolutely beautiful and empowering and encouraging. Unexpected grace. Still here. Shattered Hearts Oasis exists because of all of this. A place where shattered hearts find language in the dark. A place where grieving mothers learn to live forward without pretending to move on. For tools, for breath, for community. His story did not end, and neither did mine. Still here. Grief after child loss is not phases, it's survival. There is no moving on, only living forward. Meaning appears in unexpected places, and you are not alone. If this episode meant something to you, share it with someone who needed words but didn't have them. Subscribe, leave a review, or visit www.longlivetom.com. Next time on Still Here, you've heard the crack. Episode 2 is the ground that slowly formed beneath my feet. The year after, the quiet middle, the beginning of alignment. It's where the grief model I will become known for began taking shape inside a shattered nervous system before I even gave it a name. If episode 1 was the crack, episode 2 is the ground. Fragile, uncertain, but still here. I'm Leah, Tom's mom. Still here.